everyone! Today I have a book to movie comparison on Ender's Game. I recently read the book. It's by Orson Scott Card, and then a couple days later I watched the movie. The movie came out in 2013, stars Asa Butterfield, Harrison Ford, Haley Steinfeld, and a few other people that you'll probably recognize. Now, I had a lot of things to say, lots of feelings, whether they be good or bad, so much so that I wrote them all down on this big piece of paper, so hopefully that will keep me focused. I've been meaning to read this book for a while. Les actually let me borrow it. I decided, since the movie has come out, that this would be an appropriate thing to do. If you haven't already read Ender's Game, haven't actually heard what it's about, it follows a boy genius named Ender Wiggin living in a future Earth. Not entirely sure when, it is never stated when, but it is post-bugger war, so these buggers, aliens, came and attacked Earth. Humanity ended up winning, but by the skin of their teeth, so now a lot of kids are sort of grow up in a military school setting, and those that do well move on to battle school, and with the hopes of eventually fighting off these buggers so that they never come and bother humans again. Ender is the third in a family, which is kind of weird. There's a population cap, and he got to be a third child because they thought he would be really good, hopefully, for this battle school and maybe eventually commanding. So he ends up going to this battle school, and a lot of stuff happens. He makes friends, he makes a lot of enemies, and because of his genius, he ends up being the youngest person to do a lot of things. It's a book with a lot of really awesome ideas, though in my opinion they were not executed quite as well as I would have wanted them to. The first thing that I want to talk about is the stuff that they are both really good at, though this does sort of kind of play more to the movie in the sense that there are lines directly from the book that appear in the movie, which is always awesome, especially when you've just recently read the book and you're like, hey, yeah, I remember that. And all of the characters were there. All of the characters that I thought were important showed up. Maybe they weren't fleshed out as well, but they did have characters show up. They also did a thing that I thought the movie was better at, which was putting more females into the story. There are some females, but most of the people at the battle school, including everyone above Ender, in terms of rank, they're all male, and okay, it works for the book, but in the movie I was happy to see that they had changed people's gender, thrown a few more girls in there. Good on them. It also gave me excellent visuals. I had a really hard time in the book figuring out what the battle school would look like. The way I pictured it in my head was not nearly as cool as the way it was presented in the movie, so I definitely liked that. The other thing was, it didn't really waste my time with the ending. The final chapter in Ender's Game was just, I did not care. I thought it was really annoying and really hard to understand, and so I was wondering if they were going to do that with the movie, because basically this book follows Ender from when he's 6 until he's like early teens, and then it like jumps and explains the rest of his life in this one chapter, and it just seemed like, it was just weird. I didn't like it, and the movie didn't really talk about that. So good on the movie. The thing that both of them sucked at was pacing. There would be points in this book where chapters would split, half a day. But then there would be a line in the page, and then a whole year would have passed. And part of me was a little confused as to why we would do a chapter separation for something that is, a day apart, versus just putting a little line for something that's over a year. It made things seem off. The pacing was weird. Same with the movie. Time was supposed to be passing, but it didn't really feel like it was passing. Stuff felt rushed. It was just, ugh. Additionally, certain characters were introduced in the movie straight away that did not appear until much later in the book. That kind of comes back to the whole pacing thing, and they also completely cut out the portion with Ender's brother and sister, which is pretty significant in the book, and they just completely wiped it out in the movie. Little shocked by that, but hey. The thing that's really good about the book is that you can get into Ender's mind. You can see where he's coming from. You can feel his anguish, his dread, his happiness, and you understand his feelings. In movies, it's always hard to do that, and it definitely was hard in the movie to understand how he felt. They just couldn't find a really good way to portray it. With the way the book ends, there's no need for a sequel. It follows him from the beginning to the end, basically. But the movie, on the other hand, definitely set it up for being some sort of sequel. Now, I know there are other books in this universe. I haven't read any of them, and I'm not really sure what all of them cover, but it seemed like the movie was just raring to go in a whole different direction. I ended up giving the book 3 stars, and I've decided to give the movie 2.5. At least with the book, I could get into Ender's mind. There was a lot more of the battle school element, which I really, really enjoyed. Friendships felt more satisfying in the book, whereas in the movie, I did get the visuals that I was missing with the book, but everything felt so much more rushed, and it was much harder to understand where Ender was coming from, really see him struggling. It really just felt like they glazed over a lot of it. For those of you who have read the book, maybe seen the movie as well, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree with me? Maybe you like the movie a little bit better. Who knows? Everyone has their own opinion. I'd love to hear yours. As always, all of our links are in the doobly-doo. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you later.